What has to happen for the financial system to support this? What has to happen so that we're not a year from now talking about the 99% and the 1%, and we're not talking about the big evil greedy banks, and that there's some sense that banks are actually helping America move forward?
Well, ironically, I think the near zero interest rate policies that the Fed is pursuing, it does dampen the incentives to lend. For traditional banks, community banks, regional banks that make their money by lending money, the return that they can get by lending into a still uncertain economy is quite low. For the larger institutions, it's not such a bad deal. They can take their cheap money, they can reinvest it overseas, they have these big trading books, they don't have to lend to make money. So I don't think the zero interest rate policies, I know they're well intended and are designed to increase credit availability, but my fear is that they're doing just the opposite. Also, Congress needs to get its act together with the president and this administration. There needs to be certainty with the real economy, the non-financial sector. What's the game plan on taxes, on entitlement and spending? It can be long-term. It doesn't have to be a sudden shock. But how are we going to get our fiscal house in order? They have no certainty about what the tax code is going to look at, what the entitlement programs and the burden there is going to be. And those are really the tough decisions that our elected officials need to make that they have not made yet and are just seem unwilling to make.
Neil, it seems obvious to us as we look at Europe, all these countries that need bailouts and all of the conditions that are imposed. And the battle is about the fact that I want the money with fewer conditions, and the lenders say, no, you can't have the money with fewer conditions. That wasn't obvious to us when TARP happened, right? There was a sense of, we got to get this money out here right now. Don't get bogged down by conditions. Is there something that should change, or is that done?
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, remember, when they're bailing out the countries in Europe, they're really bailing out the creditors of those countries, which is really the giant too-big-to-fail banks of Europe. And look, pushing money out without conditions means that all you do is save a broken status quo, which is what we did in this country. We saved a system that brought us to the brink of a global meltdown, and frankly, we'll do so again if there's not more meaningful change to the structure.
So short of the conditions, because the popular conditions at their time were salary restrictions and bonus restrictions, but that's not what you're talking about. The conditions were the types of conditions that would have made the banking system safer. So what is missing? What haven't we done?
Well, we still have these giant mega banks that are now 20 to 25% bigger than they were before the financial crisis, that still present a lot of the same dangers. When you see things like J.P. Morgan and Jamie Dimon and his whale, and you see the parade of banking scandals that continue, this is part of the problem of having banks that are not only too big to fail, they're too big to manage, they're too big to jail, and we have to do something about the structure of these financial institutions, whether it's within the confines of Dodd-Frank, as Sheila advocates, or through a congressional sledgehammer and smashing them up into little pieces, which is what I would advocate.